Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest weighs in on web shop owners' decision to fight back against taxes on the industry.
Police investigate the second homicide for 2019.
Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Disappointing is how Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest is describing web shop owners' decision to fight back against higher taxes. Turnquest weighed in on the issue today as he revealed how many millions web shop bosses' decision to not pay those taxes and take the matter to court has cost the government in projected revenue. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Deputy Prime Minister made the comments moments after he wrapped up an address at a symposium for the Public Treasury Department. He said not only are the actions by the web shop owners disappointing, they're also costing the government millions in projected revenue.
I expect to collect the government's revenue, point blank. I'm disappointed that the industry has taken the stance that it has taken.
Last year, the government announced a sliding scale tax and patrons tax on the web shop industry, but web shop bosses took the government to court over the matter. The operators filed an application on the Supreme Court seeking leave for a judicial review of both policies. They also sought an injunction against the taxes. Following the application, the government agreed to not impose the taxes, but rather seek to have further discussions with gaming house operators in a bid to iron out areas in dispute. In the meantime, millions in projected revenue is not being collected. According to Turnquest, that uncollected projected revenue is between $20 and $30 million.
It is a significant number, and it is affecting some of the issues that the previous question raised. In terms of our ability to liquidate our arrears as regularly and consistently as we would like, because there's no way that you can have a hole of $24-30 million and that not affect something.
He further explained that at the end of the day, it's more than the government losing out.
When we have any sector of the government deciding unilaterally that they're going to deprive the government of revenue, well, at the end of the day, they're not really depriving the government of the revenue. They're depriving the service providers, all of these persons who have served the community legitimately and are entitled to compensation. They're depriving them from economic activity.
The DPM is not the only member of cabinet to weigh in on the issue in recent weeks. On the sidelines of the New Year's Day Junkanoo Parade, Attorney General Carl Bethel told the media that government's legal team is ready to go if web shop operators proceed with their legal fight against the government over the taxes imposed on the sector last year. A week later, the AG said that while the government continues to negotiate in good faith, it is preparing to deal with a no-compromise scenario with web shop operators over its tax scheme on the industry. Bethel's comments follow a statement from attorney Alfred Sayers, who represents Playtech Systems Island Luck, claiming that despite sending several settlement proposals to the Attorney General, his team has not received any substantive response. Meantime, Turnquest says dialogue between the government and web shop bosses have been productive.
Nonetheless, we continue to press on to try and have a constructive dialogue with the industry to come to an understanding of why the government has taken the positions it has taken, which is not taken lightly.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
All right, thanks, Jasmine. Well, police investigating the second murder of 2019 after a man was shot and killed in Pinewood Gardens last night. Jared Higgs has more.
Neighbors say the incident unfolded at a party at this beach house just to the right of me. They say the victim, Joel Russell, was shot and later died in front of this yellow shop. Police say it was after 11 p.m. on Thursday night when they got word of shots fired on Willow Tree Avenue. When they arrived, they discovered a man with injuries to his body. Paramedics arrived and attempted to revive him. However, he died on scene. Our News understands the victim to be Joel Russell. Dawn Lockhart, the owner of the shop that Russell was killed in front of, says Russell was both his tenant and a distant relative.
This guy is an awesome decent young fella.
Lockhart, 59, says he had just closed up his store and was preparing for bed when he heard shots ring out from outside.
A couple of shots went off. I reacted, listened, opened my front door and checked, and the crowd was running here, there, and everywhere.
Our news team understands that Russell worked with heavy equipment and had roots in North Abaco. Another neighbor, Fantella Kelly, described Russell as a decent, quiet man who spoke of his desire to find a new place to live.
He told me, a lot of guys was, ignoring him and stuff like that. So I don't understand how that happened to him like that,
Kelly says she is no stranger to gun violence. The father of her 14-year-old son was shot and killed a little more than 8 years ago. On Thursday night, she says her teenage son watched parts of the incident unfold.
I was sleeping, my son heard it. He heard the gunshots because they was coming from the party. And then he ran out to see what did happen. Man, I wake up my sleeping. Oh, he on the ground, died right there.
Can you?
Yeah.
So he was. When you say right there, right in front of the shop?
Yeah. Right there in the front of the shop. So.
Police say they took a 29-year-old man of Kennedy Subdivision into custody in relation to the incident. Russell's killing marks the second homicide of 2019. On New Year's Day, 19-year-old Terrence Roll Jr. was gunned down on Market Street across from C.R. Walker School. A 43-year-old man from Hospital Lane has since been charged with murder in relation to that matter.
Whether cousin, I don't care who it was, he was a human and a Bahamian and a human being, and they need to start hanging, man. Hang every day.
Lockhart, a political candidate in the 2017 general election, accused successive governments, dating back as far as the days of Sir Lyndon Pinling, of neglecting poor people in the country. He says he's seen it all in his nearly 33 years running his shop.
They call this place around here little drug haven and so forth. But the guys, them don't really want to do what they do. But they have no other alternative. Like I said, this government, when they ain't looking out for the poor and keeping the poor downtrodden and so forth, that's what mess up this country. And I say, going on 60, so I've been around to know some things.
As for Kelly, she says she's ready to leave the area, along with her 14-year-old son.
That's why I'm ready to go. And that's my only job. That's why I'm ready to go. He got to see all of that. All of this. The round between the guys, the end result. I can't, and I'm a single mother.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force revealed its 2018 crime statistics earlier this week. According to the organization, there were 91 murders in the country during 2018. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
All right, thanks, Jared. Well, we will not know the position of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce on government's offer to join the World Trade Organization until sometime in April. That's according to Chamber Director Darren Pickstock. The Chamber has now enlisted the help of Oxford Economics to carry out a fact-finding study of the economic implications of the Bahamas becoming a member of the WTO.
And the intention is for that report to be in place so that when the government do come back to the private sector and when we engage with our members, we can rely on that report in those discussions.
Oxford Economics is a leader in global forecasting and quantitative analysis, and now the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation has brought them on board to weigh the pros and cons of the Bahamas joining the WTO. Now, while we won't get the results of that study until sometime in April, Chamber CEO Jeffrey Beckel said they're still getting feedback from their members in the business community.
It is our intention over the next coming days, in the next week or two, to collaborate with our members and other members of the business community who have had a chance to review the document. And this is, of course, a critical stage for us because up to this point, very little information had been released. So we're trying to maximize the effort in the next 10 days to 2 weeks so that we can at least begin the process of giving government some feedback.
On Wednesday, the Bahamas chief negotiator for WTO accession, Zhivago Lang, shared government's revised offer to the WTO, which included a long list of tariff and duty adjustments. He also shared a few of the concerns held by several other countries about the Bahamas joining the WTO. But what about the concerns of the local business community?
Well, the main concern obviously will be with businesses coming into the Bahamas and doing business in the Bahamas. So that was the main concern, and the ability for businesses to compete with foreign-based businesses. So those were the main concerns that the business community had. so far.
According to Pickstock, the chamber and its members are currently reviewing the goods and services offer to see what, if any, recommendations or changes need to be made. The government's WTO negotiation team is expected to present another revised offer, if needed, next month. There has been concern expressed over what kind of effect WTO accession could have on local businesses, and those in the agriculture industry in particular. The chamber CEO admits more discussion could have been had on the topic to further educate the public.
When we look at it in its collective time that has been going on, could we have asked for more information? By all means. But at the end of the day, what is important is that at least through the relationships that we've been able to forge, we now see the fruit of that labor in government releasing information. So at the end of the day, I think we can look forward to more information being released on a more timely basis so that we can engage in dialogue just like this.
WTO accession has been a topic of discussion since 2001. Beckles was asked if he thinks the country would get anywhere this time.
We have to maintain a very positive view that a decision will be made by the government of the Bahamas. When that decision is made, it is our hope that the government would have taken into consideration all of the resources that have been made available to it to make the best decision. But we do know a decision will be made.
Crooked Island residents are next in line to be the beneficiaries of a $28 million Caribbean Development Bank water supply improvement project loan. Once complete, about 250 residents will have access to potable water.
This project will include the supply and installation of approximately 5 miles of water mains and approximately 83 service connections, and that will impact about 250 residents. Settlements to be impacted by the project include Church Grove, Cabbage Hill, Timothy Thompson, and Colonel Hill settlements. The project will be executed in a single lot. On this lot, we're looking at the design, supply, and construction of potable water, that is the transmission and distribution system, and an RO plant access road in central Crooked Island.
Gibson said the corporation is also preparing to go out to tender for a reverse osmosis plant in Crooked Island. The water supply project on that island is expected to take up to a year. Crooked Island and Long Island are two of the only family islands that do not have potable water in their main population centers.
Long Island Phase 2 will be executed in what we here call Lots 3 and 4. The North Long Island project, Phase 2, will see the supply and installation of approximately 13 miles of water mains and approximately 180 to 200 service connections. The project will impact about 540 residents.
Still to come, the Water and Sewage Corporation prepping for potential natural disasters, plus Joanne Calendar and becoming a breastless beauty. Stay tuned.